Hello, everybody. It is your Professor Rocco, your boy, coming at you once again with another Age of Sigmar video. In this AoS general class, I'm gonna talk. I almost cursed. I don't curse on this channel. That's for in real life, and if you know me, I'm gonna talk poop about 40k because I love Age of Sigmar. But I'm not gonna really stir up that much controversy here, or am I? This is gonna be a fun one. This is just me going off here to give my little holiday season gift for me. I'm Catholic, so this is a Christmas gift from me to y'all for whatever you celebrate. Happy holidays, folks. Merry Christmas from us here. My Warhammer journey started when I was 10. I was at a big family New Year's Eve party and I was way too young to do any of the cool, fun stuff they were doing because it was mostly drinking, all the adults getting horribly drunk. And actually, one of my friends, my age, she ditched me for some of her other friends and left me to go play with her little brother, who was only a year younger than me, but I was just like, man. And he's like, hey, I've got my big brother's Space Marines downstairs in a game book. Do you want to play? And I played, I believe, I was Blood Angels. I want to say he was Ultramarines. And we did 40k throughout the night. And it started me on a Warhammer journey that's culminated with me winning tournaments and having this YouTube channel to help teach people. And we can get all the mushy stuff, sure. But, my first thing being 40k. And then I slipped and fell into fantasy when I went to the game store and saw wood elves everywhere and loved it. And that's kind of stuck with me. And very recently, with some dear local friends, I've started playing 40k again for the first time in, for me, 20 years. Because it was just like 40k for like a month, and then when I went to get my own stuff, it was just fantasy all the time. And I liked it. I had a lot of fun. I'm going to keep playing 40k as a fun thing, doing like Tempest of War and stuff. Probably will never cover it on this channel because you guys are here for like tournament hot takes and how to learn Age of Sigmar, because you're coming from places that either don't have a community and want to build one up, or you're worried about asking questions and seeming silly, and I'm here to say there are no silly questions in a game as complicated as any of the Warhammer games, let alone Age of Sigmar. But I gotta say, Age of Sigmar, because some people are like, oh, it's baby's first war game. It's not. It is a very in-depth war game that I think honestly can stand toe-to-toe with 40k, Warhammer 40,000. The sci-fi version of our fantasy game. And here are three things that I love about Age of Sigmar over 40k that hit me specifically as I was playing 40k. Eldar, and I felt like it was still elves, so that's good, but I almost felt like I was kind of cheating on myself in my Deepkin or my city elves. But like in 40k, something I figured out is like, if you get first turn, you just blow up their transports because you're going to shoot first. And then they have to walk to you. Their melee people aren't going to get into your lines. Then you get another turn of shooting them, depending on the terrain. Hopefully you have enough line of sight blocking and dents and things to, someone gets to survive with part of their army. But alpha striking is very real in 40k because almost everything good shoots long distances. And when I played one of my games recently, I'm like, oh, cool, man. If you double turn, we both play Age of Sigmar. I'm like, wow, if you double turn me here, I'm screwed. And then I'm like, wait a minute. He never can, my opponent. Because then I don't have to worry about, did I overextend? And if they get 2 turns to come at me, I'm just out of the game. It was just, I rolled to take first turn. I deployed really defensively. But, you move first. Well, it's their command phase. Then, you move. And so, all my stuff are, in tanks or transports and moved out really far, and we're able to get firing lanes and shoot. You know, in Age of Sigmar, I like that once you learn how to use a double turn, it can be such an asset of swinging the game back from when you're way behind to like an even keel to being if you are ahead and get a double turn, you just can end a game. And there's a fine line about, that dancing around on that knife there of like, oh, who's going to get it? Who's going to do what? What's this priority? What's going on? And I really love Age of Sigmar having that. In the future, I might like to even say that like alternating activations like in Warcry or the Star Wars game that's come out, Legion, or some of these other things. And I feel like Age of Sigmar with that priority role has some play in that space that is kind of opening us to some more modern gaming trends. So I love the double turn and playing around it. A second thing I realized I loved about Age of Sigmar is that our damage spills over. If something's like a damage 3 weapon and you have 3 attacks in 40k, you're killing 3 dudes really hard. In Age of Sigmar, a damage 3 weapon with 3 attacks kills 9 guys. If they all go through and fail their armor saves and stuff. I really like that. In 40k, you have to really specialize your lists and like, okay, cool, this is for killing tanks, this is for killing light infantry, this is for killing heavy infantry. Well, really, for us, it's like, okay, how do I deal with hordes of stuff? How do I deal with really elite infantry and monsters that have just like the same basic save of like a 2-up or a 3-up? Once you get all the pluses to save and minuses to hit and all that up. And it just feels really clean that, yes, that Gargant crushed 4 individual dudes with one swing of his club, whereas that Titan just kicked one dude really, really hard. This gigantic war robot just, with one little pinky toe, stepped on a dude while he went to kick the whole unit. Like, cool, dude. And I really, really do love that 40k has the Tempest of War deck. And it's gotten me thinking about like secondary objectives for 40k and the battle tactic system for Age of Sigmar. And I wish that we can learn from something from 40k that I think we're really getting with how in Age of Sigmar, it's going to sound weird, but Rocco really loves how there are tournament organizers who are like, hey, let's have a conversation about book battle tactics. Again, I don't know if we should say, hey, next General's Handbook, we just use the General's Handbook stuff, leave the other battle tactics for the other battle packs and ways to play in narrative or whatever. Because, Age of Sigmar has this thing where it's like there's different rule sets for the different game modes. And there's nothing saying you can't play a previous General's Handbook. They're saying, hey, yeah, this mission pack we're drawing from this General's Handbook and doing these battle tactics and doing this thing, and the core rules have this built in as well. 40k had a problem for a while where they have secondary objectives that, you pick 3 before each game, and you each turn, try to score them as well as your primary missions. Whereas like we have a list that we could complete, and we call out one at the start of our turns to be like, yeah, I'm going to try this. I like that it is set up that way for Age of Sigmar, but I really worry that if we're not careful with putting strong secondary, these battle tactics in the army books, we'll end up like what 40k had a problem with, and they had to have a whole kind of like a reset on some of the battle tactics, and it was just coming up that certain armies just would win games because they would score these secondary objectives so well. And other armies could like kill you off the table, but they couldn't score points to save their lives. And I love that Age of Sigmar seems to have seen that because 40k had an earlier release cycle for all their battle tomes, and we've learned from that. Are there some offenders to this system, like the Daughters of Cain? Sure. To be fair, the moment Marathi dies in a horrible blaze of suckage because someone knows how to actually kite her model out to do the 3 wounds every turn, and really you need to go Keltnar to retreat and charge, else she'll get bogged down, but everyone wants to be on the Hagnar craze. I respect it. There's just so many good ways to play in that book, but they kind of need those battle tactics to stay more relevant as people keep now like learning these armies that have been in the meta and in competitive tournaments for so long. People are starting to find counters, these quarterly points updates and adjustments from the battle scroll, war scroll, whatever it's called. It's honestly been really good. And so the third reason I love Age of Sigmar over 40k is that them being the main system now, compared to like when it was really fantasy way back in the day, then 40k had its moment to shine. They get to screw up first with rules, and Age of Sigmar gets to learn from them and implement better stuff. So I love that Age of Sigmar is kind of the little brother, little sibling game to 40k. Because we are a large, growing population. You can see it from all the tournament data people are able to get from all the different players, all the new players going on. You could look at, a little while ago, we did a video, I'll put it at the end of this one, where I talked about the ranking system for the ITC, right? And that is how a lot of people get data for 40k. Is just that the sheer amount of people going to tournaments, like if there's an Age of Sigmar that tournament that has 100 people, like a GT, and they have a 40k event in the same building at the same time, there's usually twice as many people, if not more. Just because 40k has had such a long, uninterrupted time, they didn't have an End Times event yet. Maybe they will. They're kind of building up to one eventually. But I'm grateful Fantasy did because it I know that's the hottest take. That's my free one. Because I remember playing the Storm of Chaos stuff in 6th edition and winning his order, and then the game just kept going on and kind of stagnating, so people were like, oh, let's play with more points and more stuff, and it priced me out of the hobby as a teenager going up. I went from being able to spend my paper route money to maybe once or twice a year for my birthday and Christmas getting a box of minis to, now I'm a full adult, with a big boy job, as some people might say. And I love my day job. I just worked 12 hours today, though, which is why I'm wearing my little sleeping cap here and my pajamas. But Age of Sigmar was able to go and refocus itself, and yes, the beginning was rough, but the game we have now is just so good. And yes, now the rules are more focused on like the core rules being tight versus everything's in a battle tome. You have a little bit of a tonal shift with that. I think that's a good thing. I do. I think we're at a time where a lot of Age of Sigmar players have been playing since 1st or 2nd edition. And we're adding more stuff for the veterans to make us stay and be interested in like, oh, this isn't the same old game. And it's enticing to newer people who are like, oh, cool, what is this complex system going on? It's a lot. And again, thanks to 40k for stress testing a bunch of stuff for us. I'm very happy of the state of Age of Sigmar. Heck, and a lot of the different tournament channels that go over like all the data and all the numbers and crunch it. This is probably the healthiest meta worldwide for tournaments that there's probably like 10 to 15 armies that have a shot at winning a tournament. And it's actually starting to rely on player skill and familiarity with the other armies instead of just, I've got one really good army that has a lot of really good battle tactics and like 3 really strong units I can spam and I just win. And that is just so cool to me. So to recap, I love the double turn because it gives player agency. I love that our damage spills over on our monsters and big multi-damage weapon stuff. And I love that 40K gets to test out a bunch of rules for us, and we as the Age of Sigmar community get the better refined versions for ourselves. It is great, and I will probably still play some 40K. I don't think if there is a want for y'all to have me cover 40K stuff, we'll mess around with it. And to be fair, it probably would have made me a way bigger channel than we are now. But I just love Age of Sigmar so much. It's just so much fun. And, at the end of the day, I'm going to play games that I have fun. And I hope you do too. Because this whole thing's supposed to be about fun. And also, we are not going to have a video next week. I'm just saying this now. So, like, subscribe, the whole bit. I'm going to take next week off to recover from Christmas this weekend for me. And we'll see you in the new year. If I got my calendar right. Yeah. So, thank y'all for watching and for coming to class. This is your professor saying, class dismissed. Bye.